fall time, whenever you're showing the soybean video, we also have a great lesson to show during that particular one as well. So you're going to pull out your kit here that says the Living Seed Necklace Classroom Kit. Just so you know, there are enough resources in this particular kit so that you can do this with 100 students. Now, obviously, in kindergarten, first and second grade, we realize that you probably don't have 100 students in a year. But we still put it in this size because we know that perhaps our third, fourth, and fifth grade classes sometimes will rotate through. And so one teacher, science teacher, might have all the fourth grade. And so that way they would be able to do this with all of their students. This particular activity is sponsored by the Kentucky Soybean Board. And so this is another one of those resources that if you have the premium kit, that these will be replaced each year if you need them. So once again, you'll receive an email from someone with the teachkyag.org ending on their email, and they'll ask you what resources need to be replaced. So you can get the show pig consumable items replaced, and you can also get the Living Seed Necklace. That way you're not having to utilize any of the resources yourself. So I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to show you a bit PowerPoint, because we've also have that with you or for you as well, so that you're not even having to, it has the PDF of the plan and everything that would need to be included, including some worksheets that you can print out and have for your students. So this kind of has a little bit of the parts of a seed so that you could share that with your students. And then at the bottom, we also know that sequencing is something that students have to learn at a young age, kindergarten and first. And so they kind of have to look at these pictures and put a number next to what comes first, second, all the way down through sixth, so that they know specifically a little bit of the sequencing. We also have options. Once again, we've talked about how we need differentiation. We also have options for older students as well. And so for older students, instead of them 2 or 3, they actually are going to write about what's happening at that particular level. We also have a little bit about photosynthesis in here. So everything that you might possibly need is included right there. But I'm actually going to show you the PowerPoint so that you can see exactly of the PowerPoints. You can make a copy of this and make adjustments for it however you would need. So once again, if you're doing Farm Friday or if you're just doing a focus on agriculture, you could show the soybean video. Okay, so it's going to be to a soybean farm, and then you could do this particular activity. So it talks about what a seed is, and it talks about soybeans in particular. So it talks about how a soybean seed is grown in Kentucky. Kind of tells about the uses of that particular crop. It has what soybeans are utilized for both livestock and for cooking oil and other activities. A little bit about the life cycle of soybeans. It talks about what happens to soybeans once they are harvested. Once again, more of the life cycle of the soybean. And then we're going to talk about specifically what a seed needs to germinate. So included in your kit, okay, there is all sorts of resources in there. First, the papers that I was just showing you, they're actually a paper copy of those. So you could simply make a copy of them, or you could print them off from your flash drive or the Google Drive or the website. Also included in there are some laminated papers that talks about how seeds germinate. There's also some laminated papers in there that talks about photosynthesis. And then there's all of your resources for the Living Seed Necklace. So you can start a conversation to say, well, what exactly does a seed need to germinate? And we're going to work our way through this. It shows the steps in germination. It tells exactly what's happening at each step along the way. There is a short video. We're not going to watch this, but it's kind of a fun video that talks about how seeds germinate. And now you're going to make the Living Seed Necklace. So this is going to be the end result of what you're looking for with this activity. But students love this. Students of all ages love this activity because it's very hands-on and we've made it for them. So the first thing that you're going to have to distribute out to your students is they need a little greenhouse. So everyone is going to be provided with one of these little bitty bags, okay? The next thing is that we're going to talk about how plants need soil. So it says plants use soil to anchor their roots, and soil holds water and nutrients the plant needs to grow. Soil is not a requirement for plant growth. Okay, so we do have some plants can grow in water. That's called hydroponics. We can also have where you have fish that are fertilizing the water, and from that you're able to grow plants. That's called aquaponics. And so there's other ways you can say that, but for the most part, students are going to say that they need soil. So included in your kit, you're going to find some pre-cut little paper towels that represent the soil. They're even brown, which makes it great. First of all, you are going to appreciate Elizabeth. Elizabeth works for Kentucky Ag and Environment in the classroom, and you're going to love her by the time you get done with this particular activity, because she packages all of the items that's included in the kit and actually cuts these individually. So it's very important that we give a shout out to Elizabeth every opportunity we can. So you're going to ask your students to go ahead and they're going to place the soil. Notice step one is to carefully place a paper towel in your Ziploc bag, and you may need to fold to make it fit. Okay, and you want to make sure that it's flat. So the first step along the way is that you're going to have your paper towel, which represents your soil, down in the bag. Step two is you're going to have your soybean. So a lot of students may have never seen a soybean before. So you'll have your package of soybeans. It's pretty small, okay? And so they're actually going to place the soybean on top of the paper towel. You want to make sure that you can see it, because we want to be able to watch this seed germinate, okay? So it is right there where everyone can see it. Next thing is it says that plants use light energy from the sun to power the process of photosynthesis. The green chlorophyll in the leaf traps the energy for the plant's use. Think of chlorophyll as a solar-powered battery. So seeds are generally planted down into the ground. So the sun itself is not necessarily needed for germination, but what is needed is the warmth from the sun. So soil has to be at a certain temperature in order for seeds to germinate. And that varies depending upon the actual seed itself. So I think it's important that you explain that to your students, because the seed's going to need the warmth from the sun. Once that seed emerges out of the soil, then it takes the energy from the sun to actually go through the process of photosynthesis. But thanks to Elizabeth, you have these cute little suns that are cut out. And so you're going to go ahead and you're going to place that down in the bag as well to show that that seed needs warmth from the sun, okay? Our next step is nutrients and minerals. So just like you need vitamins, you can tell that to your students, plants also need their vitamins, which is basically different nutrients and minerals. There's several that they need, but the three main ones that are needed to help them grow are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Nitrogen helps to keep the plant green and growing well. Phosphorus helps the plant to grow very healthy roots. And then potassium helps to protect the plant from disease. And so to represent our nutrients and minerals, we have some confetti. It's different, just different colored confetti. And you're going to add some colored confetti to the bag to represent all of our nutrients in there, and particularly N, P, and K. The next thing that's needed in order for plants to germinate and for plants to grow is they need water, okay? Plants, just like humans, are made mostly of water. Plants use water to make food through the process of photosynthesis, and water moves essential minerals and nutrients around the plant. So now what you're going to do is you're going to add some water to your bag. I would suggest that you as the teacher be in charge of this, okay? That way we don't have water wars that's occurring in the middle of the classroom. So you can just take this and you're just going to squirt a few squirts down in there. I may have got a little much on that one. Paper towel will soak it up. So usually 3 or 4 squirts can go in there, okay? The seed is still visible. It's right here by the sun, okay? So you, like I said, you might, as the teacher, want to make sure that you are in charge of the water. And then seeds also need space and air to help them germinate, okay? So once everything starts coming out of that seed and the leaves and the roots start emerging, they have to have space for that. So they also are going to need air, once they start germinating, because the plants use carbon dioxide in the air in the process of photosynthesis. And in return, the plants respire oxygen that we need to breathe. So to represent the air that's needed, you're going to have your students blow some air into the bag. And then we're going to seal it up. Okay? So included in our bag, okay, that kind of represents our greenhouse. The first thing is the brown paper towel that represents our soil. Way down here, we have our actual soybean. We have the sun in there, which represents the warmth that we need to allow that seed to germinate. We have colored confetti in there, which represents all of the nutrients and minerals that are needed. And we've also breathed into the bag, okay? And then the last step that you're going to do is you're actually going to attach it to a string, okay? So you have some strings that are included in there that, once again, Elizabeth has spent time cutting and counting out and making sure that you have enough for your students. So you're going to feed that string through the hole in the bag, and you're going to tie that up. And now you have made a living seed necklace. So the students can actually wear these around, and they can take them home, and they can show them to their parents, and they can talk about all the parts that are needed for a plant to germinate. They can wear them throughout the day. But what else is really neat about this particular lesson is there can be lots of extensions that can occur from this. So, for example, you could maybe have half the kids stick it down inside their shirt to increase the amount of warmth and see if that allows them to germinate quicker. You could also have some with different amounts of water. So maybe at one table, if your kids are divided into tables, you could do 1 squirt of water. Table 2 gets 2 squirts of water. Table 3, 3 squirts of water, and see if that happens to have any variation in how those germinate. And the really neat thing about this activity is if you did this early in the morning and the kids stuck it down inside their shirts, perhaps by the end of the day, you would even notice that there's a little root shoot that's coming out of the bottom of that seed. And so it kind of shows how quickly germination can occur. Once again, the end result is going to be something that looks like this, particular hands-on lesson. Plus, they're learning about agriculture at the same time. So once again, you could show the virtual field trip to a soybean farm. You could do this activity, and they could have a really great understanding of where their food comes from, how soybeans are raised, what they're utilized for, and then understanding how all plants work and how all plants grow. So this is the book that would go great with this particular lesson and with any of the plant videos. It talks about how seeds are distributed and about how they germinate. It's called Seeds Go and Seeds Grow, and this is also included in your kit. Once again, this kit is sponsored by the Kentucky Soybean Board, and so you can actually receive replacements of this each year.